Hi, this is a lesson for level 2 written intervals in our melody unit. So for level 2, we are going to start again with the major scale and take a look at that. Here's our C major scale. By the way, there's lots of major scales, but we end up looking at the C major scale a lot just because it has no flats and sharps in it to start with. And remember, the C major scale does do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. We all kind of know what a major scale sounds like. We also talked about how we see the written intervals, the distance between lines and spaces, the distance between notes, and we count them in terms of lines and spaces. And we've talked about them in terms of this is a major second, from C to E is a major third, from C to F is a perfect fourth, C to G is a perfect fifth. Remember, fourths and fifths are perfect. C to A is major sixth, C to B is a major seventh. So we've been talking about them in terms of majors and minors. Now, another way to look at intervals, rather than looking at it in terms of the major scale, is to look at it in terms of half steps and whole steps. So from C, so we look at the piano, from C to D is a whole step, okay? And that is a major second, okay? So we count a whole steps or half steps in this way. From C to C sharp, or from white note to black note, and black note to white note. That's 2 half steps, which equal a whole step. C to E is here. C to E. So we count the amount of half steps again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 half steps equal a major third. From C to F is 5 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on and so forth. So there are many people who just memorize the amount of half steps in between, and you can call them whole steps plus half steps. So this right here would be a whole step. From C to E would be 2 whole steps because they're 4 half steps. Either way is fine as long as you have it clear in your head. But what happens when we don't have major intervals? In other words, what if we went C to D flat? What if that was a D flat? And I'm going to go back into lessons and show you where that might happen. Go to the minor scale. I'll go to the C minor scale again. Here, we talked a little bit how the minor scales, we lower the third, the sixth, and the seventh to make a natural minor. And so then all of a sudden you don't have these major intervals. C to E natural is a major interval, but C to E flat, which is how many half steps? 1, 2, 3 half steps. That is considered a minor third. So one below a major third, which would be C to E, one below a major third is considered a minor third. Okay? Now, if we had an E sharp, which would be a little bit odd, but you could have it. E sharp is just a half step above E, so it would be there. So technically, its enharmonic name is F, but we can also call it an E sharp. Well, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps, and that would be called, if we call it, if we had this as an E sharp, we would call that an augmented third. So a major third is 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. A minor third is 1, 2, 3 half steps. And an augmented third would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. Now you can do that from any note. Let's say we started on a G and I asked, what is a minor third? Well, you'd count up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So a minor third from G is a B flat. A major third then would be what? A B. 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. And you could also have the augmented third. Okay? Now the only difference would be from the C to the F and the C to the G, or a perfect fourth or perfect fifth, because there is no major on that. So you call them perfect, so C to F is a perfect fourth, and again we called that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. Okay? If we had something lower and we called that an F flat, which again would be a little bit odd, but it does happen. An F flat would, the enharmonic name for F flat would be E. Okay, but if we had F flat, we would call that a diminished third. A diminished third. So in the perfect intervals, which is fourth and fifth, there are no majors or minors. It's either perfect, diminished, or augmented. So C to F is perfect. If you raised it to F sharp, that would be augmented. All right? So once again, major seconds, major thirds, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, perfect major sixth, major seventh, octave. Okay? If we were going to do 1/2 step below, minor second, the E flat would be the minor third, the perfect fourth turns into diminished fourth, perfect fifth turns into diminished fifth, okay, or the G sharp would be the augmented fifth. Okay, so that's just how we name them, and you can start on anything. So, and again, you can memorize those in terms of half steps and whole steps. Okay, so if we had D and I asked you to pick out a perfect fourth, well, we know perfect fourth equals 4 half steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, perfect fourth is 5 half steps. 5. So there's a perfect fourth. Okay, if I asked you to say a diminished fourth would be the 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be called a G flat. Okay? So that's how you see that when it's written. And many times in class, I do say, what is this interval from D to F natural? Right? And many of you are able to say, well, that's a third, but you're not able to say what kind of third, because they do sound different. Right? If this is do, a major third would be do, mi, D to F sharp. Okay, but a minor third sounds much different. Do, not mi, but do, me. So that's very different. You can't sing, they don't work in the same way. They don't sound the same way. Okay, so that is how you figure out what intervals are. Another good thing that we'll go through this, if you go to generic intervals, that talks about how we look at intervals in terms of steps. And if you go back to specific intervals, is how you measure them. Okay, and they give you the half steps and whole steps in that. Okay, so it gives you a nice chart that you can memorize as well. Okay, so that is the lesson on written intervals. Thank you.